So good morning. We got a great morning coming up here for us. Not only are we going to see some fantastic ministries, you're going to walk away feeling encouraged, you're going to walk away feeling connected, you're going to walk away feeling inspired, knowing that we're having significant impact downstream that goes quite far. So we got a great morning in store, but we also got something to celebrate. This is the Barnabas Group's 25th anniversary year. It's the silver anniversary for the Barnabas Group, but one of the things you got to understand is we're just getting started. We're just getting started. There's exciting things happening, and it's only growing. Let me go back this morning and trace some of our history, going back to where this all began. So the Barnabas Group started, it was a chain reaction that started with this book, Halftime. Bob Buford wrote this book. He had a chain in the southeast of cable television outlets. Remember when you did TV through cable television? Really lucrative business at the time. And he made enough money for multiple generations to not ever have to worry about it. God got a hold of him, and he made this transition from success to significance. He's the one who popularized that phrase, from success to significance. And what that means, in short, is success is what's measured down here, significance is what's measured up there, and how to make that transition. So he got quite a response to this book, and people were saying, can you show us how to do what you did? And we need a little bit more than a paperback of 200 pages. So he reached out to his friend Bob Shank to create a mentoring program called the Master's Program. The Master's Program has been described as an MBA for kingdom business by some people that helps business leaders transfer their business background for kingdom impact. So the Master's Program is a 3-year program. A number of people in this room have been through it as well. And when the first class of the Master's Program finished in Orange County in the year 2000, they said, okay, we know what we have to offer. We know how to make that offering. We just need some opportunity. We need deal flow. Where are we going to get those opportunities? And so they hatched this crazy idea of the Barnabas Group. And so we get to experience that here now, in those terms. So it was 25 years ago, the first group of Barnabas Group people got together to figure things out. Let me tell you a little bit about the founders, Bob Shank and Jim and Susie West. Bob was the one who started the Master's Program. And here's some of the things that he would say. This is kind of like his way of thinking in a nutshell. Career is what you're paid for. Calling is what you're made for. Win at work, but you don't need to run up the score. The only score that will matter for eternity is measured in lives changed and souls saved. Be as savvy and sophisticated about the work of your calling as you are in your business. And living out your calling is how to make the rest of your life the best of your life. And that's not a bad kind of undergirding of the Barnabas Group. Thinking like we want to be savvy, sophisticated in the way we think about our kingdom contributions. The Barnabas Group is an expression of that. Then there's Jim West and Susie West. Jim was the managing partner, and Susie was one who kind of really made everything happen. Jim was called the most influential Christian leader in Orange County, and that's saying something. Jim said, in running the Barnabas Group, if I'm going to err, it will be on the side of being too generous. And I would hear Jim tear up talking about his prayers for the way Barnabas partners experience God at work. I mean, he would just be talking about praying, and his eyes would get all watery. And you're like, you know what? That's the kind of heart I could follow. So this was how it all started. Today, there are 6 chapters of the Barnabas Group across the country. Orange County started in 2000. And I'll tell you, they have over 200 people attending their meetings. They're like really big. And they're 25 years old. San Diego started in 2008. They have almost 200 people at their meetings. Inland Empire started in 2012. They're like a smaller version of what's going on. Sacramento, we started in 2019. Here we are. Kansas City, 2020. And the Bay Area relaunched just last quarter. I was there last week. A couple other people were as well. David Sexauer was there. Marcus Bigelow, Dan Navarro. We were all there. And they're doing great. They had 80 people there. 80 people there for their second meeting ever. There's some other chapters that have been on this list and aren't on this list anymore. Things come and go. over 25 years. That'll happen. But these are the chapters we've got right now, and they're all doing great. And just so you know, they're all friends of mine, and our leadership team has some interaction with some of them. We have an annual Managing Partners retreat. We get together. I'm going to Kansas City in August, to compare notes and encourage each other and things like that. So that's part of the national effort that we're a part of. One of the early ministries that got to present at the first Barnabas Group was when this inventor, mechanical engineer Don Schoendorfer, showed up. He had taken one of those plastic lawn chairs and outfitted it with mountain bike tires. He said there's almost 100 million people around the world who don't have mobility. And that not only affects their lives, it affects the lives of the entire family and family system of that family member, because they just can't get around, they can't provide for themselves, they don't have the opportunity to engage in life as we know it. It's really hard, kind of a tragedy. So he came to the Barnabas Group and said, I've got this wheelchair that I've invented for less than $100 a pop, but I don't know what to do with it. Can you help? So he presented it at the Barnabas Group. And before Don left the Barnabas Group, he was asked, do you have a strategic plan? Don says no. Someone else says, do you have marketing materials? Don says no. Someone else says, how much does it cost to send a container, an ocean-bound container of 550 wheelchairs to some destination on the other side of the world? Don says, I really don't know. A few weeks later, that first container on the ocean ship liner was filled, delivered by the Barnabas Group. So here we are 25 years later for Free Wheelchair Mission. There's 80 million people in need of a wheelchair today. 1,461,996 wheelchairs have been delivered by Free Wheelchair Mission to date. And if you look at their website, it's a moving number, and it's only going up and up and up. And the cost of one of these wheelchairs to change someone's life is $96. A great story of over almost 1.5 million lives just utterly changed. It's like profoundly changed because of Free Wheelchair Mission. And Don would tell you none of that would have happened if not for the Barnabas Group. So we're going to get to hear some ministries today with a process that's evolved over 25 years to what we know and love today. Let me tell you about the process that we have. So the ministries that come have been through this process, and they're in the middle of this process. So at first there's a ministry introduction. Make connection. Often it's a Barnabas partner who makes a referral, makes an introduction. Hey, we got to talk to somebody, so we do. Then we have a ministry selection process. There's an application, there's a conversation, and we want to pick the ministries that are ultimately most engageable for our partners. That's what we're looking for, engageability. And that includes, are they at a place where we could have an impact that's going to make a meaningful change for them. Then once the ministry is selected, we go through a preparation process. Here's what that looks like. We do that initial conversation. There's an application review where we're trying to hone in on what would be the big question and what's something that would make a meaningful difference. Then there's a story elements interview where we want them to be able to tell a good story. So we draw out the parts that are good story and then to capture it in a way that's going to be engaging. Then we do the slide review. Then we do an online rehearsal. And then that brings us today. So before a ministry gets here with the microphone, they've been through at least 4 meetings with us, getting them honed and prepared. I think you'll notice that as we go. That brings us to the blue dot in the middle of the quarterly event. And then what's going to happen after the presentation today, each ministry is going to go into a different part of the room, follow-up conversation, where we get to ask follow-up questions, learn more. And part of what the big question in the back of your mind is, that should be, that doesn't need to be part of the conversation, is, do I want to get engaged further? So it's a little bit like speed dating. Hey, do I like them enough for a second date? Here's the second date. 2 or 3 weeks later, there's an opportunity to be part of an ideation session. And this is a 2-hour meeting that's going to happen in Folsom, Granite City co-working space in Folsom, to have a facilitated process to help understand more of what's already been tried, what's working, what's not working, and then what we get to offer our input and try to help them move things forward. And we're not the ones who say, this is what you got to do. We're the ones who just are conversation partners. And at the end, we say, what do you think were the good ideas? Sometimes it's surprising because my great idea wasn't one of their ideas they liked, right? That happens. But they get to decide what are the good ideas, not what are we going to do. And we ask them, so what are you going to take going forward? They get to do that. And then about 6 weeks after that, we have a Zoom call report to hear, how did it go? So that's the process that we're going to experience today.